All right, let's dive into the world of GLP-1 medications. Think semaglutide, tirzepatide, and how they're making waves in women's health. And we're going way beyond just weight loss, exploring how these medications are impacting everything, from bone health to hormonal balance.
It really is fascinating how these medications, initially developed for diabetes, are now showing promise for a wide range of women's health concerns.
And I think what's really interesting is GLP-1 is a natural hormone, right? But it seems like modern life kind of throws it off balance.
Absolutely. You know those thrifty genes everyone's talking about? The ones that helped our ancestors survive famines? Well, they're not so helpful in today's world with so much food and less physical activity.
So basically, our bodies are clinging to calories like it's the Stone Age, even though most of us aren't hunting and gathering anymore.
Exactly. And that's where these medications come in. They basically boost our natural GLP-1 response, which has become a little lazy thanks to our modern environment.
Okay, so let's break it down. How do these medications actually work? I know they help people lose weight, but what's the science behind that?
Well, GLP-1 medications primarily work by regulating blood sugar. They increase insulin production when you eat, which helps your cells use glucose for energy. At the same time, they suppress glucagon, a hormone that raises blood sugar.
So it's like a balancing act for blood sugar levels.
Precisely. And what's really cool is this entire process is glucose dependent. This means the medication only triggers insulin release when blood sugar is high, preventing those dangerous drops in blood sugar.
Makes sense. But let's talk weight loss. What's the connection?
Well, along with regulating blood sugar, GLP-1 medications slow down how quickly your stomach empties. This means food stays in your stomach longer, leading to that I'm full feeling, so you naturally eat less.
So it's not just willpower. It's like changing the signals your body sends to your brain about hunger.
You got it. It's working with your body's natural mechanisms to manage weight, and the clinical trials are showing some pretty impressive results.
That's encouraging. But I'm curious about how these medications specifically benefit women. What can you tell us?
That's where things get really exciting. We know women face unique health challenges throughout their lives, and GLP-1 medications seem to be making a difference in some key areas. Let's start with bone health, a major concern for women, especially after menopause.
Right, because estrogen plays a huge role in bone health and levels decline during menopause.
Exactly. And that decline increases the risk of osteoporosis. What's promising is research suggests GLP-1 medications might offer some protection by promoting bone formation and helping preserve bone density even when women are losing weight.
That's big because losing weight can sometimes put women at even greater risk for bone loss.
Absolutely. And speaking of hormones, the interplay between GLP-1 medications and estrogen therapy is fascinating.
Because many women use hormone therapy during menopause to manage those hormonal shifts.
Right. We know estrogen benefits cholesterol levels and how the body uses insulin, both of which are crucial during menopause. GLP-1 medications further enhance blood sugar control and reduce inflammation.
So they work together to support women's hormonal transitions.
Precisely. There's even research hinting at a synergy between GLP-1 and estrogen, though more human studies are needed.
Very promising. What about the impact of GLP-1 meds on fertility? I know that's a big topic for many women.
That's another area where we're seeing intriguing findings. Studies show potential benefits for women with PCOS, a hormonal disorder that can affect fertility. GLP-1 medications might help regulate menstrual cycles and reduce androgen levels, which are often elevated in PCOS.
So getting to the root of those hormonal imbalances that can make it difficult to conceive.
That's the hope. And there's early research looking at how these medications might affect IVF outcomes, although we need more data on that.
It seems like there's a lot of potential there for supporting women on their fertility journeys.
Absolutely. It highlights how these medications can address underlying hormonal imbalances that impact women's health in many different ways.
Okay, so we talked about GLP-1's solo act, but you mentioned we're on the cusp of even more advanced peptide therapies. What's on the horizon?
This is where things get really cutting edge. We're moving beyond single hormone medications and exploring combinations of hormones in what we call multi-hormonal therapies. This approach addresses the complexity of our metabolic systems in a more comprehensive way.
So instead of just mimicking GLP-1, it's like a team of hormones working together.
Exactly. A great example is tirzepatide. It's a dual GLP-1 GIP agonist, meaning it activates both the GLP-1 and GIP receptors. GIP, or glucose-dependent insulinotropic polypeptide, is another gut hormone involved in blood sugar control.
So like a two-pronged attack on those metabolic processes.
You could say that, and the results are pretty impressive. Tirzepatide leads to even better blood sugar control and weight loss compared to medications that activate only the GLP-1 receptor.
Wow, so harnessing the power of multiple hormones to create that synergistic effect.
Exactly. Researchers are exploring even more hormones like calcitonin, which is primarily known for regulating calcium. But it's showing promise in influencing appetite, improving insulin sensitivity, and reducing inflammation.
Like we're discovering this hidden world of hormonal interactions and how they impact our overall health.
It really is. And it opens up so many possibilities for personalized treatments.
So you're saying we could potentially see a future where people receive customized cocktails of hormones to address their specific metabolic needs.
That's the direction we're heading in, and it's incredibly exciting. It's about moving beyond a one-size-fits-all approach to medicine and tailoring therapies to the individual.
That sounds like something out of a science fiction movie. But the science is real, and it's happening now.
It is. And alongside these multi-hormonal approaches, we're seeing remarkable advancements in how these medications are delivered, making them more convenient and user-friendly.
Okay, tell me more about those advancements. What's coming down the pipeline?
One major breakthrough is the development of long-acting formulations. Thanks to chemical modifications, we now have once-weekly GLP-1 medications, which is a game-changer for patient convenience. And researchers are already working on even longer-acting versions, imagine monthly injections, or even implantable devices.
That would be amazing. No more remembering to take daily pills or weekly injections. What about oral delivery? Any progress there?
That's the holy grail, isn't it? And while we're not quite there yet for all peptide medications, we're making progress. Scientists are exploring nanoparticles to enable oral delivery, which could revolutionize how people take these medications. While an oral semaglutide tablet is currently available, it relies on a different mechanism than nanoparticles, which hold immense potential for the future.
It sounds like the future of peptide therapies is bright, more potent, more convenient, and more personalized. It's incredible to think how far we've come. But let's pause for a moment and talk about the research behind these medications. What does the scientific evidence tell us about their effectiveness and safety?
That's a crucial question. The good news is the clinical evidence supporting GLP-1 medications is incredibly robust. Trials have consistently shown significant reductions in both A1C levels and body weight for individuals with type 2 diabetes and obesity. The weight loss observed is especially noteworthy, often exceeding what's achieved with traditional weight loss methods.
But what about long-term effects? We've all heard stories about medications that work well initially, but then lose their effectiveness over time.
That's a valid concern. But studies suggest that the benefits of GLP-1 medications are largely maintained as long as treatment continues, with some individuals even continuing to lose weight over time. Of course, stopping the medication can lead to weight regain, which highlights the importance of viewing obesity as a chronic condition that may require ongoing management, just like other chronic conditions like high blood pressure or high cholesterol.
So shifting our perspective and recognizing that obesity may require ongoing support and treatment.
Precisely. These medications provide a powerful tool to achieve sustainable weight loss and improve metabolic health, especially when combined with lifestyle modifications.
Speaking of lifestyle changes, how important are those when using GLP-1 medications?
They're absolutely essential. While these medications are highly effective, they work best as part of a comprehensive approach that includes healthy eating, regular exercise, and stress management.
So it's not a magic bullet. It's a powerful tool within a holistic approach to health and well-being.
That's the perfect way to put it. The medications address the underlying biology, while lifestyle changes reinforce those efforts and create healthy habits for the long term.
Now let's talk about safety concerns. I know any medication can have potential side effects. What are the most common side effects with GLP-1 medications?
The most frequently reported side effects are gastrointestinal, like nausea, vomiting, and diarrhea.
Are these side effects usually severe?
The good news is they're typically mild to moderate and often subside with time as your body adjusts to the medication. Starting with a low dose and gradually increasing it can help minimize those side effects.
That's reassuring. Are there any more serious risks associated with these medications?
There is a theoretical but unconfirmed risk of thyroid C-cell tumors based on studies in rodents, which is why there's a precaution on the medication labels. However, we haven't observed this in humans at therapeutic doses. As a precaution, these medications aren't recommended for people with a family history of medullary thyroid cancer.
So for most people, the potential benefits outweigh the risks. which are generally manageable with proper monitoring and care.
Yes, that's a fair assessment.
This has been fascinating, and I feel like we're just scratching the surface of this topic.
We are. There's so much more to explore.
We'll definitely have to do a follow-up. But before we wrap up this part, I'm curious, where do you see GLP-1 research heading next? What are the big questions scientists are trying to answer?
There are some really fascinating areas of research emerging. For example, scientists are trying to understand how GLP-1 medications might affect the body's set point for weight.
You mean like a biological thermostat for weight?
Exactly. That could have major implications for long-term weight management. And they're also investigating the potential direct epigenetic effects of GLP-1, meaning how these medications might influence gene expression and potentially even have an impact on future generations.
Whoa, epigenetics. That's getting into some really complex science.
It is. It highlights how much we're still learning about these medications and their potential impact. Another exciting area of research is the connection between GLP-1 medications and the gut microbiome, the trillions of bacteria that live in our digestive system.
I've heard so much about the gut microbiome lately. What's the link to GLP-1 medications?
Research is indicating that these medications can positively influence the balance of bacteria in the gut, which plays a crucial role in overall health and metabolic function. There's even evidence that semaglutide, one of the GLP-1 medications, can restore a healthy balance of bacteria in the gut and repair damage to the intestinal lining caused by a high-fat diet.
Wow, so it's not just about hormones and metabolism, it's also about nurturing a healthy gut.
You got it. And that's where things like nutrition and supplements come into play. When you're taking GLP-1 medications, it's important to ensure you're getting enough essential vitamins and minerals, especially since these medications can decrease appetite.
So should everyone taking these medications be taking supplements?
It's definitely something to discuss with your doctor. A multivitamin and protein powder can be helpful, especially when you're first starting the medication and your appetite is significantly reduced.
What about other supplements? Are there any that are particularly beneficial for people taking GLP-1 medications?
There are a few that people often consider. Ginger and artichoke, for example, are popular for digestive support. Artichoke can help with bile production, which is important for fat digestion. Taurine and alpha-lipoic acid are known for their roles in glucose and insulin regulation.
So these supplements can potentially help manage some of the common side effects and optimize the benefits of GLP-1 therapy.
That's the idea. But it's crucial to talk to your doctor before starting any new supplements, as they can assess your individual needs and potential interactions. Plus, they can guide you toward reputable brands with transparent labeling.
Great advice. It sounds like there's a lot to learn about GLP-1 medications and how to integrate them safely and effectively. It's a rapidly evolving area of research, but the possibilities seem truly limitless.
I completely agree. This is just the beginning.
Welcome back to our deep dive into the world of GLP-1 medications. It's amazing to think that these medications originally designed for diabetes are proving beneficial for so many conditions we hadn't anticipated. It's like we're uncovering a whole new layer of possibilities with these medications. In Part 1, we explored the impact of GLP-1 medications on women's health, particularly in areas like bone health, hormonal balance, and fertility. But get ready for some even more unexpected applications, because now we're going to venture into the realm of brain health and addiction.
It really is fascinating how these medications, which primarily work in the gut and pancreas, can also influence the brain.
That's what I'm so curious about. How do they even reach the brain? Is there some secret passageway I don't know about?
Well, not exactly a secret passageway, but there's definitely a connection. While GLP-1 is mainly produced in the gut, it also exists in the brain where it acts as a neurotransmitter. And here's the key. GLP-1 receptors are found throughout the brain, including in areas that control things like reward, motivation, and appetite.
So by mimicking GLP-1, these medications can actually tap into those brain circuits.
Precisely. Let's start with alcohol consumption. A groundbreaking study published in JAMA Psychiatry in 2025 found that a low dose of semaglutide significantly reduced alcohol intake in individuals with alcohol use disorder.
Hold on, a medication designed for diabetes could help people struggling with alcohol addiction.
The results were pretty remarkable. The study participants who received semaglutide for 8 weeks showed a significant reduction in the amount of alcohol they consumed during a lab experiment. They also reported having fewer cravings throughout the week.
That's incredible, especially given the limited treatment options for alcohol use disorder.
Right.
What's the explanation for this effect? Is it simply that people feel fuller and therefore less inclined to drink?
It's likely more complex than that. Researchers believe that GLP-1 medications might actually modulate the brain's reward pathways, making alcohol less pleasurable and weakening that connection between alcohol cues and cravings.
So it's not just about curbing appetite, but potentially rewiring the brain's response to alcohol.
Exactly. And this opens up a whole new avenue for addressing addiction, not just to alcohol, but possibly to other substances as well.
This is truly groundbreaking. It's like we're discovering a hidden talent of GLP-1 medications.
And speaking of hidden talents, remember how we talked about GLP-1 receptors being in brain areas involved in motivation and reward? Well, those same areas are implicated in nicotine addiction as well.
So could GLP-1 medications also help people quit smoking?
Interestingly, that same JAMA psychiatry study also looked at smoking habits in participants who were current smokers. And guess what? Semaglutide treatment was linked to a greater reduction in cigarettes smoked per day compared to the placebo group.
Wow, this is seriously game-changing. It seems like these medications could tackle multiple addictive behaviors at the same time.
That's the exciting possibility. By targeting those shared brain pathways involved in reward and craving, GLP-1 medications might offer a more holistic approach to addiction treatment.
This is just mind-blowing. But it gets even more fascinating. We've talked about alcohol and nicotine. But what about the potential for GLP-1 medications in neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's?
That's another area of intense research right now, and there are definitely reasons to be optimistic. Remember how we talked about GLP-1 receptors being found throughout the brain? Well, some of those receptors are in areas that are essential for memory and cognition, the very areas that are affected in Alzheimer's disease.
So could activating those receptors with GLP-1 medications potentially protect against cognitive decline?
That's the hope. Studies have shown that GLP-1 medications can reduce inflammation in the brain and protect neurons from damage, both of which are key factors in the progression of Alzheimer's.
That's incredible. Are there any human studies to back up these findings?
Yes, there are. Although large-scale trials are still ongoing, early clinical studies have shown that GLP-1 medications can improve cognitive function in individuals with mild cognitive impairment or early-stage Alzheimer's disease.
This is giving me so much hope. Just imagine the impact this could have on the millions of people facing Alzheimer's, a disease for which we currently have very limited treatment options.
It's definitely a potential game changer in the fight against this devastating disease. And it really showcases the incredible versatility of these medications, showing that they have the potential to not only manage chronic conditions, but possibly prevent or delay the onset of serious diseases as well.
Okay, so we've covered a ton of ground here, from women's health to addiction to neurodegenerative diseases. It's remarkable how one type of medication can have such wide-ranging effects. If you had to sum it up, what's the one key takeaway you'd want our listener to walk away with after this deep dive?
I think the biggest takeaway is that the field of peptide therapy is rapidly evolving and full of possibilities. What we're seeing with GLP-1 medications is just the tip of the iceberg. These medications aren't just about weight loss or diabetes control. They represent a fundamental shift in how we approach health and well-being.
It's like we're rewriting the rules of medicine.
Exactly. And that's a testament to the power of scientific discovery and innovation. As we continue to learn more about our biology and the complex interactions of hormones, we're opening up new ways to optimize health and potentially even reverse the course of diseases that have long plagued humanity.
It's definitely an exciting time to be alive and witnessing these breakthroughs. Now, before we wrap up this part, I want to leave our listeners something to ponder. If GLP-1 medications can have such a profound impact on the brain, could they also be used to address other mental health conditions like depression or anxiety?
That's a great question, and one that researchers are actively exploring. The potential is certainly there.
Welcome back to the final part of our deep dive into the world of GLP-1 medications. We've covered a lot, from the science behind these medications to their impact on women's health, addiction, and even brain health. It's really amazing to see how one class of medications can have such wide-ranging effects.
It truly is a testament to the power of scientific research, and how much we're still learning about the human body and how complex it is.
Absolutely. As we uncover these groundbreaking therapies, we really need to think about the practical side of things too. Specifically, the financial and societal implications of these medications.
That's a really crucial point. We can't talk about revolutionary treatments without thinking about access and affordability.
Right, because these medications, while life-changing for many, are pretty expensive. How do we make sure everyone who needs them can actually benefit from them?
That's the million-dollar question, and there's no easy answer. But I think we need to acknowledge the elephant in the room, which is the cost. These medications can be a significant financial burden, often costing hundreds of dollars per month. And that unfortunately puts them out of reach for a lot of people.
It's like we have this breakthrough treatment, but it's not accessible to everyone who needs it.
Exactly. And it highlights the urgent need for policy changes and just innovative solutions to make these medications more affordable and accessible.
So where do we even begin to tackle this?
Well, one important step is advocating for insurance coverage for obesity treatment. Because currently, many insurance plans don't cover weight loss medications. They view obesity as a lifestyle choice rather than a chronic disease.
It's so frustrating. I mean, as we've been talking about, obesity is a complex medical condition with biological underpinnings, and treating it really requires a multifaceted approach, which includes medication.
You're exactly right. And by recognizing obesity as a disease worthy of treatment, we can push for better insurance coverage, making these medications more affordable for those who rely on insurance.
What about government programs like Medicare? Could they help expand access?
There's definitely a growing movement to include weight loss medications in Medicare coverage. There's actually a proposed policy called the Treat and Reduce Obesity Act that aims to do just that. And if it passes, it could make a huge difference for millions of seniors who are struggling with obesity.
That would be amazing. But what about those who don't qualify for Medicare or have insurance plans that don't cover these medications? What are their options?
That's where patient assistance programs and pharmaceutical company discounts come into play. A lot of drug manufacturers offer programs to help eligible patients access their medications at a reduced cost.
That's good to know. Are there any other strategies to make these therapies more affordable?
Well, one really promising avenue is the development of biosimilar medications. Biosimilars are basically generic versions of biologic drugs. So they offer similar efficacy and safety, but at a lower cost.
So it's like the generic drug model we're familiar with, but for these complex peptide medications.
Exactly. As patents on the original GLP-1 medications expire, we can expect to see biosimilar versions hit the market, which will increase competition and hopefully drive down prices.
That's really encouraging. But thinking beyond the financial aspects, what are some of the broader societal implications of these medications?
Well, one concern is the potential for weight stigma and discrimination. As these medications become more widespread, there's a risk that people who choose not to use them or maybe haven't achieved what's considered significant weight loss might face judgment or bias.
It's like we're still fighting against this deeply ingrained societal belief that weight is a reflection of willpower or morality.
It's a real issue, and it's important to remember that obesity is a complex medical condition influenced by so many factors. Genetics, environment, socioeconomic circumstances, you name it.
So it's about fostering empathy and understanding, not judgment.
Absolutely. We need to shift the conversation about weight away from appearance and more towards health and well-being.
And what role can healthcare providers play in changing that narrative?
They have a huge role to play. By educating patients about the science of obesity, addressing weight bias in their own practices, and advocating for policies that promote equitable access to treatment, they can be really powerful agents of change.
It's really about empowering individuals to make informed decisions about their health without that fear of stigma or judgment.
Precisely. And that includes respecting individual choices, whether or not someone chooses to use medication for weight management.
This has been such an insightful conversation. I mean, we've really delved into the science, explored the potential benefits and risks, and even tackled some of the really complex financial and societal issues surrounding GLP-1 medications. It's clear that these medications represent a pretty big shift in how we approach health and well-being.
It's an exciting time to be in medicine, and I believe these medications are just the beginning. As we continue to unlock the secrets of our biology, we're going to discover even more groundbreaking therapies. I have no doubt.
I'm so inspired by the potential of these medications to improve lives. And to our listeners out there, remember to embrace the power of knowledge. Stay curious and keep asking those questions. Your health is the most valuable asset you have, so advocate for yourself and seek out information that empowers you to make informed decisions about your health and well-being.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, stay curious, stay well.